Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Richard Davey. I'm the Secretary and CEO of the Massachusetts Department of Transportation. I also have the honor of serving as the Chairman of Massport as well. And we couldn't be more happy to be here this afternoon in New Bedford, thanks to the Mayor, Mayor Mitchell, for hosting us today, to announce the Port of Massachusetts Compact, which, like what the administration successfully did 5 years ago with a compact around transportation, our hope is to bring the 5 ports of Massachusetts together, to work together, and really think of us as one port, leveraging our assets, leveraging what we can do together to ensure economic development and jobs across the Commonwealth. We are so pleased that Lieutenant Governor is here with us, who will be chairing our Port of Massachusetts, along with other mayors and other secretaries, the chairman, who I will introduce, members of Massport as well. But this is an idea born out of the Lieutenant Governor and the Chairman of Transportation, again, to think about how we can work together to improve jobs and economic development among our 5 ports. So with that, I'll be serving as MC today, and I will move through quickly, but the first person I want to ask to speak is Lieutenant Governor Tim Murray, who is continuing to push me and my team, and frankly all of us in the Department of Transportation, to ensure that we are focused on transportation needs throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Governor. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Secretary Davey. I want to thank Mayor Mitchell for the magnificent day here. Good stuff, and it's great to be here with partners who've worked on a whole variety of issues, local issues with some of the mayors, state municipal issues, working on our seaport issues as well, and great to be here with the chairs of the House and Senate Transportation Committee, 2 individuals who get it on so many different levels, Tom McGee, Senator Tom McGee, and Representative Bill Straus, both chairs who represent maritime communities, that understand, and leaders in particular who understand, not just for their respective districts, but for the entire Commonwealth, how important transportation is. And just to build upon what Secretary Davey said, we have worked closely with the mayors and partners here on the Seaport Council. And the Seaport Council was created back in the 1990s. Governor Weld and Governor Cellucci, and the enabling legislation did have it primarily working on the 5 ports, and it still does. But its mission has broadened, and we are working on all the maritime communities. And with over 2,800 miles of coastline in Massachusetts, there are a lot of demands. And in each one of those communities, ports large and small, there are needs. They play vital roles in those municipalities' identities, in the regional economies. And this is really an effort to bring some additional resources, time, and attention to the 5 ports. And our Seaport team works extremely hard. The Executive Director, Louis Elisa, we've got Alan Sabula here, and others who have worked on the Seaport, meeting demands of our communities. But we think there's an opportunity that exists right now with our efforts around transportation reform and bringing hopefully an equal level of focus to our different transportation platforms. Yes, we have our roads and bridges, we have our airports, our rail, but also our maritime assets. And working on the Seaport, as chair of the Seaport Advisory Council, we've had the opportunity to invest strategically on things that allow us to grow, whether it be cargo, cruise ships, commercial, industrial, maritime businesses, our fishing, which is so important. And since its creation in 1996 through bond bill funding, again a partnership with the legislature over the years, the council has expended over $100 million on nearly 300 projects. Since Governor Patrick and I have been in office, over $35 million on 80 projects in dozens of coastal communities. And these are projects that support the improvement of outdated infrastructure so that they can meet the adapting and changing needs of our ports. For example, right here in the Port of New Bedford, which is New Bedford and Fairhaven, right, Chairman Straus? Absolutely. New Bedford has been ranked the top fishing port in the country for 11 straight years. The city's port ranked #1 in dollar amount in 2010, landing $306 million worth of fish, a 23% increase over the year before. The Seaport Council has supported essential maintenance and improvements to the Port of New Bedford, including dredging of portions of the harbor, repairing and rebuilding piers and wharfs, as well as maintaining public safety along the waterfront. We could see some of that on the way in. These projects support and increase cargo to the city and to the businesses on the shore side. And we've done much of those same things, albeit maybe in a little different way in each one of the five major ports. And while the council has provided assistance, we, as I said, have only begun to scratch the surface of the infrastructure preservation, the improvements that are necessary to support their economic welfare and evolution. With limited resources, we need to continue to be strategic and comprehensive about the investments we make in our ports. And by working cooperatively, by bringing the relevant state agencies in, such as Massport, as well as our 5 port communities, we are going to make a concerted effort to leverage all resources and provide a comprehensive collection of water transportation options. Through the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding today, we are starting that conversation. We are moving towards creating a strategic plan, which I think is critical to our biggest ports and our positioning Massachusetts to be more competitive in a global maritime economy. Today, through the MOU, we are agreeing to increase mobility for people and goods within and through the Commonwealth in a safe, secure, and environmentally sustainable manner, promote and adopt efficiency and program improvement initiatives between and among transportation agencies, authorities, municipalities in the area of cargo, ferry, pleasure craft, cruise, industry marketing, which is important, terminal operations, and supporting the fishing industry. And share best practices for project implementation. Organizing this group will not only impact our maritime infrastructure, but together will also help our seaports better align and inform the investment decisions made for highway, rail, air, ground transportation systems as well. As I mentioned, the seaports in the history of the Commonwealth, they've adapted time and time again to meet the needs of the entire state. To state the obvious, the seaports are major economic engines, not just for the communities where they're located, but for the entire state. And this strategic plan that we are embarking on will look to potentially reduce unnecessary internal competition, maximize benefits of infrastructure investment and coordinate, and I think in a collaborative way, which is extremely important, aggressively go out and recruit and market these ports in a coherent manner. Because there are trends out there that really cause us to come together and have a sense of urgency. We've seen the growth of intermodal containers being in the shipping and the water side. Coastal shipping, which is shipping that does not cross the ocean but along our coastlines, or also known as short sea shipping, presents opportunities. And clearly the changes to fishing regulations have to be evaluated in terms of what we're doing so that we can continue to do everything we can to aggressively support our vital fishing industry. So it is exciting to be here. I want to thank our participants and partners as we begin this, I think, important initiative going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. Our next speaker is Senator Tom McGee, not only the Chairman of Transportation, and has since, in the short time he's been Chairman of Transportation, not only been a friend and a curious legislator when it comes to transportation, but someone who has been pushing us, the DOT and the administration, to think more collaboratively about water transportation and how our ports can work together. So we appreciate not only his presence today, but also his leadership in pulling this compact together. Chairman, would you mind saying a few words?
Thank you very much, Secretary Davey. Lieutenant Governor Tim Murray has been a real leader on waterfront, all the issues, I think, that impact our waterfronts, and how important and how exciting it is to take a focus onto our waterfronts and what we can see for the excitement that happened in the past, and how that we can use that excitement and use it for the future. And my co-chair, Chairman Bill Straus, it's been great to work with him, and I know Bill has been focusing clearly on issues that impact this area in terms of the ports. But I think when you look at what's going on in Baltimore or Seattle or really Fort Lauderdale, the excitement in Boston recently, just talking about the Fort Point Channel and all of the things that are happening there, cities like Salem, Gloucester, and really Quincy, Hingham, Lynn, it's not just the ports, the 5 ports, but really the opportunity that the investment in the ports and the focus on the ports as our future economic growth opportunity areas really is exciting to see what's happened elsewhere and to bring those exciting ideas here. It's happening in Boston, and we really can see it happening here as we move forward. So I'm excited to be a part of this. I look forward to working with all of the mayors, my co-chair, and the secretaries, and the lieutenant governor as we talk about important issues. And again, I was speaking about it with the mayor of New Bedford related to the latest news in the Globe about the how clean the New Bedford Harbor has become, the Assinet River, and that's happened up in Boston. It's happened in Boston. It's happened in Lynn with the treatment plant we have on the waterfront in our community. So we're seeing a whole new focus on these opportunities with cleaner water, and I think really great opportunities for economic growth in all these areas on 2,800 miles of waterfront. So I'm excited to be a part of this. Thank you for having me today, and I look forward to making this a big push as we move forward. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Thank you, Chairman. It is by no coincidence we're here in New Bedford, and the next speaker is the reason because of it. Bill Straus has also been not only a terrific chairman we've worked with very closely in the House for just a short period of time, but continues again to make sure that we at the DOT are thinking broadly and intermodally. So whether it is waterfront development, as the chairman mentioned, Chairman McGee up in Lynn or other cities and towns across the Commonwealth, but it's also thinking about how we can be more strategic. We consistently say that we have precious few resources here in the Commonwealth, so how can we ensure that we're investing wisely across all 5 of our ports? So again, one of the reasons why we're here today is because Chairman Straus has shown such leadership when it comes to ensuring that we're investing in our ports. Chairman Straus, would you say a few words?
I told him yes, I would say a few words. It's a pleasure to be here today, and just add some additional thoughts on so everyone is clear exactly what the meaning of today's announcement is. Tommy McGee and I became the co-chairs of the Joint Committee on Transportation just over a year ago, and one of the first meetings we had was with the Lieutenant Governor because of his fabulous work over the years on the Seaport Advisory Council. We wanted to point out, which he already knew, that as part of the transportation system that exists in the state, not just the roads and bridges as the Lieutenant Governor pointed to, or the transit systems or the airports, the seaports are both part of the transportation system and part of the economic connection that is so vital. It's obvious here in New Bedford, where we're the #1 port in the country in terms of proceeds, but each of the other state piers, each of the other state ports has their identifiable component that they comprise within the system. We have the state piers, we have Massport with the Port of Boston, and as Tommy McGee pointed out, we have the other commercial waterfront activities that occur in the other communities, and his examples are very good in terms of Quincy and Lynn, which I always give him a little nudge that he tells me Lynn has a waterfront. So we'll prove that later. But the reality is that when we sat down with the Lieutenant Governor and followed up with meetings with both Secretary Sullivan, Environmental Affairs, and Secretary Davey at Transportation, as good a job as we're doing, we could still do a better job, because many of these ports are under the supervision and jurisdiction of different either municipal or state agencies. And what we wanted to do, and it is now going to move forward in this joint effort, is we wanted to bring these agencies together. So Massport, with its operations in Boston, has employees and expertise that not taking control, but that they could lend a hand in advising the other ports. And that goes on where we have environmental agencies involved in port activities in some ports. We also have the expertise in terms of the transportation links at the Department of Transportation. So we wanted to make sure everyone was communicating together because there's so much more potential that we have, whether it's with our fishing industry, with our commercial shipping through facilities like Maritime Terminal, or the rail connections, both freight, ultimately passenger, that we expect to take place in our port. So I want to thank the Lieutenant Governor for staying on this and realizing its potential and helping to implement what is now going to be a concerted effort to help all of the ports in the Commonwealth. I want to thank both secretaries. Obviously, this will not be able to go ahead without the local expertise and participation of the mayors, who are well represented today, and of course including Mayor Mitchell, who's already jumped into it with a number of port activities that he's been advocating for the benefit of not just the city but the region and the state. So I want to thank all of them. I appreciate everybody coming down here today, and I have big hopes that with this coordinated effort we're going to see more economic activity and more use of the ports which we depend on in Massachusetts. So thank you very much for allowing me to be part of it today.
Before I introduce our next speaker, I do want to make mention of a couple of folks who are here today. First, has been mentioned before, Secretary Sullivan, Rick Sullivan, from Environmental Affairs and Energy. He has been a strong advocate for coordinating, continuing with DOT and DCR a number of projects and priorities, and we appreciate his willingness not only to be here, but be an active and willing participant. Representative Chris Markey here is as well in the back. We appreciate you being here and your leadership as well. Thank you. Did you buy the coffee? Thank you. Appreciate that. As the chairman mentioned, Chairman Straus mentioned, we wouldn't be here today without the partnership and the leadership of our municipal officials as well. And the first person I want to call up, it's been alluded to, but Mayor Mitchell, he's not a rookie. He's been on the job 120 days, 100 days. I've talked to him probably at least 50 times already about transportation issues in the city. He cares deeply about ensuring that New Bedford is moving forward. He's been a great partner already. We look forward to continuing to work with him. We appreciate you hosting today, Mayor John Mitchell.
Thank you, everyone. I'm really excited about this today. This is the start of the state and our local government's opportunity, or seizing on an opportunity that is before us, and will in the long run create numerous jobs for the residents of Massachusetts, and especially here in New Bedford. Let me first acknowledge the efforts of Lieutenant Governor Murray. The Patrick Murray administration has been a very, very strong partner of those of us here in New Bedford. Whether it comes to whether it means fighting for us on with respect to South Coast Rail or the South Terminal project or any number of transportation projects, the Patrick Murray administration appreciates more than any of their predecessors that life exists beyond 128. And as a mayor of a city, former mayor of a city beyond 128, Lieutenant Governor Murray knows it right down to his bones, and we really appreciate the strong working relationship that we have with you. I also want to thank also Secretary Rick Sullivan. We've had a very close working relationship on a number of fronts, but especially in our quest to build the South Terminal project. Secretary Sullivan and I have been working very closely together. He is on it. He is pushing this thing forward, and we really appreciate the opportunities that lie ahead and the partnership that we have with you. Secretary Rich Davey, someone that I knew before I got into government on a social level and at a friendly level. It's great to be working with you on a professional level as well. We have had many conversations along the way about the opportunities that we see here in New Bedford. We had a conversation about 2 months ago about this idea of regional and multi-city collaboration concerning ports, that we needed to take the state needed to take a broader view of the capacity of its ports, and that we should really be thinking of Massachusetts as a whole as a marine port as opposed to just the city of Boston. So I really appreciate your out of the box thinking. You too are no rookie, even though you've only been in the job for less than a year, and so I really appreciate all the hard work. Let me also acknowledge the efforts of Senator McGee and Representative Straus for taking a leadership role in these efforts today and for coming down here. Senator McGee's sister lives in New Bedford, so he's no stranger to New Bedford. He is a friend of New Bedford. Of course, Representative Straus has skillfully represented Fairhaven and Mattapoisett and Marion for many years and knows ports, knows this port, and gets it. Let me also acknowledge my friends, Mayors Kirk and Mayor Flanagan, who in many ways are faced with the same set of challenges and opportunities that we face here in New Bedford. We lie outside of 128. We have great potential. They have great potential in their ports, as we do here, and their presence here really signifies that their recognition that those opportunities exist and need to be capitalized on. Our harbor, as you see here, is our biggest asset. In a time when cities don't have the comparative advantages they once did. Many cities grew up along mills, along riverfronts that were lined with mills, or around train depots. The rationale for many of those cities to exist no longer exist. And what we're talking about today really is one of the few ways in which cities can capitalize on a comparative advantage. Our harbor gives us business opportunities. It will enable us to trade and to support offshore wind and continue, in the case of New Bedford, to continue to have the #1 fishing port in the United States. When it comes to its harbor, New Bedford can walk and chew gum at the same time. We can do all these things, and we've been doing them for a long time. Cargo, fishing, recreation, we can do it all, but we need to have a good plan. And that's where this compact comes in. The compact is going to give us the opportunity to think through these problems and really capitalize on them in the next 5, 10, 15, 20, and even 50 years. We need to put ourselves in a position to understand the changes in global markets, changes that seem to be subtle but are very profound, like the enlargement of the Panama Canal, the enlargement of the ships that will pass through the Panama Canal, what that means for trade on the East Coast, what it means to have the development of really a sort of a new mode of shipping and short sea shipping up and down the East Coast. We can take advantage of it, but we need to plan. And if there's anything to take away from this today, it's that the state government and local governments are not sitting back and waiting for it all to happen. We're stepping out ahead to try to put ourselves in the best position to succeed. And I really appreciate the state's efforts in doing that. And I know, speaking for all the mayors, I suspect that we appreciate that support. And we stand ready to work with you in the months ahead to make sure we have a good plan and that we're in a position to grow jobs in all of our ports. So I thank everyone for coming today. This is a very exciting opportunity, and I look forward to the challenges ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. And again, thanks for hosting. Next person I want to ask to say a few words is Mayor Will Flanagan, another strong and tireless advocate for transportation issues, all transportation issues for his home city of Fall River. Whether we've worked with him on South Coast rail issues, Route 79, which is a big and transformative project that the state is committed to, working with his team to get that done. He has been an advocate for Fall River in making sure that transportation is done well and done right. And he's also a very enthusiastic supporter of this compact today. We appreciate him being here. Mayor, would you say a few words as well?
Secretary, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary, and what a strong representation we have assembled here for this compact, from the secretaries and the lieutenant governor to the rep and the senator and the mayors throughout the various communities. Today's announcement marks a milestone for port development in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And our ports are a great asset for cities like Boston and Salem and Gloucester and New Bedford and Fall River. They're an economic engine. And for the various cities who are fortunate enough to have ports, they're used for so many economic uses, whether it's transporting goods and cargo, whether it's used for tourism or recreation. This compact will allow us to continue to develop upon our city's ports and continue to enhance economic development for the cities that have them. So I want to commend the Patrick Murray administration for their commitment to economic development, for their commitment to our natural resources, and by assembling and meeting, we'll continue to put the emphasis needed for development of our ports. And whether it's short sea shipping or any other economic initiative, we have the opportunity to really tap in and utilize the ports throughout Massachusetts, and I'm looking forward to working with all of the various stakeholders here and ensuring we continue to improve the quality of life of the people, not just in our various cities and towns, but throughout the entire Commonwealth. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mayor. Next is Mayor Carolyn Kirk. We appreciate her coming all the way down, by the way, from Gloucester to be here today. But again, another municipal leader who has been working very closely with Governor Patrick and Lieutenant Governor Murray on all issues, but in particular for the Port of Gloucester. Again, we couldn't be more happy that her and her team have agreed to participate, and we look forward to your participation as well. If you mind saying a few words, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, Lieutenant Governor, distinguished guests, mayors, good to see you. They say that we live not on planet Earth, but on planet Ocean. And what Gloucester is doing is really looking at our economy, and what we're seeing is the ocean economy is really an untapped frontier. And I think that is true of all the ports. And one of the things is we're coming out of this economic difficult time that we've been in, and this is such a hallmark of the Patrick Murray administration, is that they're proactive. And one of the things when I learned of the compact on the port cities, I said we are planning into the future. We're not waiting to react, and we're not looking to try to overcome infrastructure that can be deteriorating, which can happen in these port cities. This is a very proactive approach, and the principles laid out in the Memorandum of Understanding are of a breadth that capture not just transportation, but all of the elements of what a port and a maritime economy can be, not only for our cities, but for the Commonwealth. So it's a visionary step that's being taken here today, and we're so proud from the City of Gloucester to be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I should also note, before I introduce our last speaker, that there are several other folks who are going to be participating in the compact who could not be here today. Obviously, the City of Boston, Mayor Menino and his team will be participating again enthusiastically, as will the Mayor of Salem, Kim Driscoll. Her and her team will also be participating to ensure that her vision as well for Salem is being accomplished. Secretary Bielecki as well from Economic Development, who was at a different groundbreaking this morning up in Somerville, knows that ultimately if we're doing our job in transportation, it's all about jobs and economic development. That's truly why we are here today. And speaking of economic development, last but certainly not least, the Port Director from Massport, Mike Leone. At Massport, we are very much focused not only on moving people and goods, but again, we are very much focused on jobs and economic development. That's what the Port of Boston and Massport, Logan Airport, Worcester Airport are doing for this Commonwealth. We're pleased that Massport will also be participating. Mike, would you please come up?
Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and I should say Mr. Chairman, Lieutenant Governor, Senator McGee, Representative Straus, Mayor Mitchell, Mayor Flanagan, Mayor Kirk, Secretary Sullivan. It's an honor to be here, and it's my pleasure to be in this great city of New Bedford, the largest fishing port in the country, and to be with so many people who are interested in preserving and protecting our maritime industrial tradition and the critical link it has been and will be in connecting Massachusetts and New England to the world. Ports are not only an economic engine, but cargo that is moved over water means it's not being trucked on our highways, and that's not only good for business, but it's good for the environment and our quality of life. The Port of Boston's activity by itself supports 34,000 jobs and contributes more than $2 billion in local and regional economic impact. Each year, the Port of Boston handles nearly 15 million tons of containerized and bulk cargo. Anything we can do individually and collectively to promote and protect maritime industries will benefit the Commonwealth, its trade-dependent companies, and all of its citizens. Massport has invested over $70 million to modernize our Conley terminal, which is New England's major container facility. And this investment is most important now, as larger and larger ships will be connecting Massachusetts to the rest of the globe, and particularly through the Suez Canal as more and more manufacturing moves to Southeast Asia, and by 2014, when the largest vessels will be coming through the Panama Canal. Dredging is an essential function for all of us. Our navigational channels must be deepened so that we can handle not only all the ships that are coming into our ports. Worldwide cargo is expected to double by 2020, and our ports have to be capitalized on this renewed interest in all water connections between Asia and the East Coast ports. We're seeing a number of positive signs in Boston about the recovering New England economy. In the first quarter alone, we saw a 14% increase in exports out of the Port of Boston. And the future for cruise port Boston is even brighter. As Senator McGee has mentioned, the cruise industry is very, very linked to one of Massachusetts' most important industry, tourism. This year we celebrated our 25th anniversary and welcomed more than 300,000 passengers for the second straight year. We have invested $11 million renovating the cruise terminal, and investment continues to pay dividends. This year alone, we'll see over 350,000 passengers go through Black Falcon Cruise Terminal. 2012 will also welcome new services to Canada, New England. Carnival Cruise Line will be selling a series of 4- and 5-day cruises, and has already announced that it's coming back in 2013. And we hope in the near future to be able to announce itineraries from Boston to the Caribbean. Gloucestor, New Bedford, Fall River have all welcomed cruise ships for business, and we have met with Salem officials regarding their quest to bring cruise ships to their city. The local economy is recovering, and our ports need to assist that recovery and be ready when the global economy recovers. Massport welcomes the opportunity to work with our sister ports in a variety of areas, sharing best practices on cruise and container marketing, cargo marketing, terminal operations, port security and safety, environmental sustainability. Working together, we'll be able to accomplish this far more than working alone. Thank you for the time to be here.
Thanks, Mike. Good job. Very good job. Very good job.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. With that said, I've had to ask the chairman and the mayors to come over to my right, and we are going to sign the compact. That's great.